Headbutt Radio, coming through on your wireless.
I had a better vibe before we got counted in.
What do you mean? Well, a little bit of Return of the Mac to celebrate Return of Ed Ross.
And the podcast this week. It's great to be back.
Return of the Roscoe. How are you, big boy?
Mate, I'm great. I'm refreshed.
You look it.
I'm bronzed. The girl said I look bronzed when I walk in this morning.
Yeah, that's not... Do you know what bronzing means? We had Stuart Whitby on the podcast. Been bronzing up, have you? Have you?
I thought you were talking about soaking again, but I'm not going to go into that.
No, bronzing up is... What would you... Oh, okay, righto. Woo! Back it up. Hey, is that moustache growing about a... Have you fertilised?
Yeah, hasn't it grown? I was only looking at the... well, I don't have mirrors in my house like we were discussing before, but yeah, it does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah, now you've gone from looking like a sexual predator to a sexual predator that would murder me as well.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. It's getting quite bushy.
Yeah, how did the van go on Fraser Island?
The van?
Yeah, the van. Sexual predator, a van joke. Everyone who owns a white van, you know?
Mate.
Come on, you with me? Come on, 1 week off and you just... Nah. Oh, you couldn't take the van over to Fraser because they don't have four-wheel drive. Unless it was a Deleker. Oh! Can we talk about Delikers this episode?
I didn't see one over there,
You
unfortunately.
didn't see a single Deleker?
Did not see a single Deleker.
Mate.
But I think the reason is because of their clearance. I don't have enough clearance.
What stage of life do you reckon you get to where you like, where you want to get into four-wheel driving, but
Well,
you like...
you've got to be living in Loganholme. You're not allowed to register a Deleker unless it's in Loganholme.
I want to go four-wheel driving, but I've got 12 people in my family. And we all want to go.
Yeah. And I need the back ramp so I can wheel Granny up in the chair. Just strap it down.
Yeah. No, you know what they should do with Granny? You know how you see...
Can you imagine in the back?
You know how they...
Fucking yockey straps.
You know how you see camper vans, motorhomes, and they're towing another car so that they can drive when they get to their
stupid
destination?
sign they put on the back of it?
You should get that. You should tow Granny in a wheelchair on the back of your Deleker, just like that.
That would be a sight.
Oh, could you imagine the dingoes chasing after her on Fraser? Oh, mate. Anyway, hey, happy Funky Shirt Friday.
Hey, happy Funky Shirt Friday. The funkiest you can be on a Friday, wearing your shirt, having a good time. Episode 13, Derek. Can you believe it?
The only way you could be any funkier is if you were wearing a funky shirt and listening to Return of the Mac. Oh, hang on.
You just did.
We did.
And if you're not wearing your shirt, like we've said before, turn around, go home, put one on, head back to work. I got the Ventura on today, Derek. One of our core range products. Had it in, we've had it online for years. Must be like 2.5 years old, this thing.
Why do we call it that?
Well, we're just going all Ace Ventura originally.
What do we like about Ace Ventura?
Well, he's just a loose, pizzled, long-haired yahoo, so...
I'll tell you what, I've got to bring something up. You've been saying the word pizzled a lot. And I don't know what it means.
We can talk about it later in the podcast.
But it's not in the run sheet. Not that we have a run sheet. If we did have a run sheet, it wouldn't be in there.
This vessel is empty.
Did you just look? Did you just finish drinking your water and
Yeah,
then
well,
look in the eyepiece in the mouth hole to confirm that there was nothing in there?
By the way, how good
did you do that?
How good is Yeti gear, by the way?
The best.
This shit is the fucking best.
I
Tried to. You remember the marketing manager from Yeti that gave us his stuff?
Well, I don't actually, but I remember getting it.
Yeah, so he sent it to us, and we stupidly gave that fucking esky away. I'm so dirty we did that because it's so good. Anyway, I was like, oh, hit him back up, and we'll try and do another thing with him. Doesn't work there anymore. Spewing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the circumstances with which we gave that away could have very
Also,
nearly got us in a lot of trouble.
We're not, anyway, look, legal stuff. We're not getting on. This is not a legal podcast, all right?
Well, yeah, but since we're talking about it, we did. What did we use it for? It was for trademark's first birthday.
No, TX's first birthday. Everyone had.
Yeah, I said first. I said first birthday.
Everyone that wanted to win it had to stick their arm in the esky with
Full
iced
of ice.
water.
Yeah,
and
they were not giving up.
They were not giving up. Clayton.
He couldn't feel his pinky finger for 3 months.
I'm trying to think of what his name was. About the one he married one of my
The
sister's
military
mates.
dude.
Yeah,
The army
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, my sister's.
Mate, I was flat out
housemate.
running out to the kitchen out the back getting more ice. Then they were
No,
like,
but salt in
they were
there.
like, get salt. If you put salt in the ice, it'll get colder. I was fucking pouring salt into this thing. People
Himalayan or fucking table.
Yeah, pink. Pink Himalayan or iodized. What the fuck is with that? Putting
Iodized salt.
No, salt in
Oh, I don't know.
salt in water making
But
shit
there's
go colder.
apparently there's a story that my father-in-law, he at my wife's 21st, decided to put salt in all of the eskies to keep the piss cooler, but everyone was had salty stubbies, and all the tops of the tins were all salty. Matt Lindsay still talks about it. How Paul had fucked all the stubbies because they're all.
You got to be
all
careful
salty.
though too, because people like dip into the ice out of an esky to make their drinks as well. Like if they're mixing, so icy. Fuck.
Yeah, you're just working your way into a hellhole there.
Yeah.
Trying to refresh, but you're drinking salty
It would
water.
have been a real baller
That's
move.
why people perish in the ocean when they've got no water. They drink it and then they.
Oh god. Ugh. Can you imagine? It would have been a real baller move if Paul filled the eskies with tequila. Tequila and lemons along with the salted ice.
Salt lines along the edge. Oh dear. Okay.
Well, I'm wearing
What are you wearing?
day night yellow Hive Navigator.
It is one of our earlier collections from
this
the
year.
2020 season.
I fucking love this shirt.
Yeah, it is a good one.
I like it.
It came in
because-
late into the rotation. It only just made the collection, didn't it? But
Well, no, we subbed it in for another shirt, another print that we pulled out, and this was designed for an earlier collection again. But Iris, our designer, made a few adjustments to it, and
it's a cracker. I've got the full print one.
it's what is it about this shirt? I think it's because it kind of has some
symmetry?
traditional like dress shirty vibes because there's lines in it, but they're not all linear. They're all there's
But
all
they are.
they're all sort of. It's a nice pattern, but I think it's just there's a lot of straight lines in it, so it feels like halfway between a fully trademark shirt and like
It's mildly funky.
It is
So you put it-
mildly funky. But yeah, so I love this shirt.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I've had my QR code on it scanned a few times as well.
QR code. Yes, QR code on this one too.
So, geez, our QR code scans are getting up there.
How many?
Oh, don't ask me. I just know. The thing is, they're only going in one direction. They literally can't go down. So I just know they're going up.
Oh my fucking god! Someone emails us. I want to retract my QR code scan.
Can you discount my scan?
We didn't do the podcast last week, Derek.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I want to give it out there to all of our devout listeners and apologise that we didn't make it last week. I was obviously on Fraser Island, in and out of service, and the Taylor Swifts were on. So
we had the Taylor Swifts.
We'll talk about it in a later segment.
Righto. Well, we had talked about maybe doing it, but like when it came out last week, I don't know. You were on holidays. I was, to be honest, well, I felt cooked. I've been feeling fucking pretty tired for a while. Like, probably a bit overworked, probably need a bit of a break. But I was like, last week, I was like, well, it's going to be shit without you in the studio. Plus, you're on holidays.
Bless him.
It would have been good.
I'm glad we're recording.
But no, we'll edit this bit out. Fuck that. I'm not hearing any. No one's hearing me say anything nice about you and your bushy moustache that you've been fertilising in your van. I don't know. I just thought it'd be weird on the phone. I was like, nah, I don't know.
It's easy.
Let's not do it. So,
Right. Well, we're back. And plenty to cover today, Derek. What are we going to
and
go
there's another reason why we didn't do it, which will come up in a later segment too. So,
Absolutely.
what are we going to cover today?
You're doing this part.
Yeah, but I'm just asking you to be
plenty.
So you should say,
Shitloads.
well, I don't know, Dan.
Yeah,
Why don't you tell us?
What are we going to be covering, Derek?
Well, we're gonna get to the bottom of whether or not Ed became a man or not at Fraser.
My forehead is just itchy all of a sudden.
Oh, we're gonna discuss Ed's itchy forehead. We're also going to dislodge a couple of rocks from socks. The Porter and Wood Golf Classic on the weekend. Now I know Jason Porter is going to be listening to this.
Jace.
And doing some epic carpentry and charging his clients like a wounded fucking bull. But it's worth it because he's a good chippy. Look, we're also going to have to touch on the tragedy that occurred last week and the tragic passing of Paul Green. So we'll have a bit of a discussion about that and gain our thoughts about that whole setup. And then, obviously coming out of that, we've got the Gimpy Muster next week. So we're going to, just tap into a few more talking points that we need to just clarify.
That's not what was written here.
The Gimpy Muster before we, okay, who's sleeping with who at this year's Gimpy Muster? We're going to discuss who is sleeping with who. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, dear. Right.
We're going to get into the PG stuff.
We are, absolutely. And just a reminder before we get into the first segment of today's podcast, this week we're wanting the community to own it. And we're going to talk more about that in a later segment. But we want everyone to own it today. Own their mental health, how they're feeling, emotions, well-being. Let's own it.
You can't take any proactive steps about any struggles with mental health unless you truly own the way that you're feeling. First step, own it. Righto. Well, I tell you what, massive week last week. Look, I was watching the news headlines all week, just waiting for the story. Man's been eaten by a dingo on Fraser Island. Man's had his dick bitten off by straight dingo on Fraser Island trying to figure out how to bait a fishing hook. I was refreshing my news app fucking constantly. Like, when you get those updates on your phone that tells you how much screen time you've had this week?
Yeah, you've had fuckloads.
Mine's gone way up.
It can go down, that one.
Yeah, that can go down. I was setting alarms to be So, Edward, tell us. Did you become a man at Fraser Island?
I do feel as though I became a man last week on Fraser Island. I learnt an absolute shitload. Had a ball. Fuck, it is amazing over there. You've said you have been over there.
I have. It's great. So tell me, how did you navigate this whole adventure? Not just the physical adventure to Fraser Island, but the inward adventure in discovering
emotional
who you are
as a man
and what this appendage is that is attached just above and between my legs.
Yeah, it's not hanging very far down, I can tell you. It's just sitting there. But
God, boys and joking about penises, I tell you.
I was like, yeah, and farting. It's hilarious. I mean, anyway. Have you been to Fraser? Yeah. It's fucking cool, yeah. So
my cousin got chased by a dingo on Fraser.
Really?
Came back in tears, mate. Came back to no, younger cousin, Dross. So you haven't met him, but back to Kingfisher Resort. Just tears streaming down the face. Dingoes are lurking.
Yeah. So last week, there was a few things that happened. Actually, I'll go further back. So Friday, a couple of my mates picked me up in Toowoomba. We headed out to my mate's place at Mooney, Cam's. So Blanky and we dropped Percy off, picked up his new car in Oakey. He drove home. Me and Blanky drove out to Mooney, stayed with Cam because we had his brother's bucks party the next day. Great to catch up. Went and just annihilated some hogs on Saturday morning. It was a fucking massacre, which was hilarious. Blanky was sitting behind because Cam's like, oh, they're going to be just down here in this shade line. So I was like, oh, yeah, righto. So I'm driving the quad. Cam's on another quad. He went up the other side of the shade line, and Blanky's sitting behind me
with a gun, no doubt,
with a 222 lever action. And he's sitting behind me anyway. We went up this shade line. There was nothing there, so then we came back in on the fence line in between the shade line. Anyway, fuck me dead. There was
it bust up,
mate. There was this hog. It was right in front of me. And Blanky, he's a fucking big unit. He's standing up behind me. I'm ducking down underneath the handlebars of this quad bike, and he is just letting this gun off. Fucking 28 shots, got 5 hogs. We drove back after he shot them all, and there's fucking huge bits of bark that has been shot off trees and shit. It was fucking out of control. Anyway, so that was a good blowout on that Saturday morning, just getting back to being a man. And then got a great photo, actually. We'll have to... I don't know where we're going to put that up, but we'll have to put it somewhere.
Yeah, you can just show me.
But one of the things, we had a Bucks party that afternoon, and like I was telling you about before, we did a bit of a pub crawl out around Gundawindi. But one big thing, which was so cool, was that everyone dressed up as the Buck, right, had to do their own Noonan impersonation, Tom Crane impersonation. But he's a massive Trademark fan. Anyway, everyone on the bus pretty much is wearing Trademark. And the coolest part was, it was blokes there that I knew, I went to school with, they were a few years older or whatever. But they were wearing newer collection ones. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck yeah. These people are actually supporting. I was like, this is fucking sick. I was like, this is fucking, it was sort of, I was humbled. I was like, it's fucking great.
We've actually got customers.
Yeah, literally. You know what I mean? Because
these fucking lights been staying on this whole time.
No, but it was cool. It was fucking cool. So,
and so, but are they, so, okay, right. So, have they bought the new shirts specifically for the Bucks, do you reckon? Or
no, I don't know.
Do you reckon and what did you talk about with those people? Was there any acknowledgement of any... I
don't know if I did acknowledge them, actually.
Or was it just you're all dressed as Noonan
it was hilarious.
Trademark doesn't exist?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
No, I'm not. It's not saying you said it, but it was
no, well, we talked about work and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's been fucking hard, blah, 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 which is all sweet. But it was no, it was just a cool... I was like, oh, this is fucking sweet. I was like, it's really cool. Anyway, it was a good day.
That's smart.
Yeah. And anyway, so the next morning, got up. We're all fairly hungover. Blanky and I fled out of Gundy pretty early.
Was it just
Sunday morning? Just a one day. By the way, Bucks parties, new thing. Do it in a day. Do one day. It's the best. It was fucking great.
Don't know whether I agree, but
well, I mean, as in, it was just good because everyone was like, "This is just the one day into it." it was great. Rather than because everyone gets first night fever anyway, and fucking, good the second day anyway. So
Yeah, but that's when stuff can get really interesting.
yes, also true. But I had to flee out of there. Had she's my auntie-in-law's 80th. Out at Mount Tyson, and that was a bit of a struggle, as I'm sure you can imagine.
So is this all part of like becoming a man?
Well, then it started. So I got in the car with Matt Tate, my brother-in-law, and we drove from there to Tin Can Bay. It was like a 4 and a bit hour drive.
Did he know that you were on this mission?
Well,
Did anyone know?
Well, this isn't like a big... I was just talking about it. It's like a
big thing in our world. Big thing in my world.
No.
Our listeners are fucking...
They're just glued. Their ears are glued. They're not even driving. Their ears are just glued to the bottom of the door. Just fucking got it into the speaker. But I was just saying to him, I don't understand any of this like fishing shit and whatever. Like, it's fucking cool. Like, I want to,
I need to know more details about this. Like, how did you bring it up?
I was like, I don't know how to bait what hook with what fish or go for whatever.
Did you just say... I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
or did you say, hey, Matt, I need to talk to you about something?
And Tatey goes, yeah, man, I don't fucking know either. Like, you just learn it off other people. And I was like, fucking sweet. So...
excuse me, Matt. Can we please pull the car over? There's something I need to talk about with you. And I've been thinking about it for a while now, and I feel like this is a safe place. We're in the car. Can you turn the radio off, please? I'm trying to talk about something important. I'm having issues with my masculinity.
With my baiting my fish hooks.
And the only way I can talk about this is with a lisp.
So what I did, we got to Tin Can Bay that night, waking the next morning on the barge.
Are there any tin cans out there?
Tin cans?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say it was pretty dark.
Cool. Right.
And so we got on the barge, got over from Inskip across, but it's like...
Did you get bogged at Inskip?
No, didn't get bogged there. But that's the big bit, you know what I mean? Everyone's letting their tyres down and fucking got their Dodge Rams and fucking, you know...
Seen the videos?
Oh, yeah, mate.
Inskip.
Yeah,
mate.
Inskip. So, anyway, we're out there just sending it. Got on the beach. It was great. Got up there. Because that day, we got up, because we were staying at Orchid. What have I said? Have I missed something? What is it? Talk.
I was going to ask about the rumours that I've heard about diesel soot.
Do not ask that.
But I won't.
Oh, fuck. My forehead's itchy again. Then I said...
Are you nervous?
Anyway, no, I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, got to Orchid Beach, and Matt's like, we'll go up here to... There's a pub, like, just around from where our Airbnb was. So I went around there.
Yeah,
and it's literally...
Confirming you stayed at an Airbnb on Fraser.
Yeah, it was fucking great. Must be very nice. It was.
He's an upmarket man,
I'm an upmarket man. But so we're there... And the pub is literally, like, there's no car park. It's just a sand dune everywhere around the pub, right? It's just literally just sand. Like, there's no road, no nothing. It's just fucking sand and logs and shit, right? In a pub. Anyway, because we were a bit...
What do you pay for a schooner there?
It was actually not too bad. I think it was like $9 for a ginger beer schooner on tap.
Sorry, I'll stop cutting in your story.
Anyway, so we're sitting out there, and obviously you get pretty,
You're on Fraser.
Daunted.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't want to get bogged in front of the pub. Anyway. This is the greatest thing about males, right? We're just fuckheads. So anyway, there's these three cars like coming from the other direction. So Tatey like pulled off the road, or like up off that bit of sand dune, and this guy's like 3 cars are coming through anyway. 2 came through, they sort of just got through, and this third bloke comes along in this Hilux. Anyway, he missed a gear and it just went bleh, and just bogged right at the front of the pub. And his other mates had all parked, and they were like walking back to go into the pub, and they're looking at him, and he was so embarrassed, mate. He had all in forward drive, and there's fucking sand flying, everyone just bogging down like this, and they're all standing there fucking pointing and laughing at him. He gets out of the car and he was so embarrassed, and he's like, "You fucking assholes! Stop fucking looking at me! Go and get the snatching strap! Fucking pull me out!" He had the fucking sour was so bad. But what made me like really laugh was it was like, who gives a fuck? I was like, you get bogged, who gives a fuck? You're gonna get pulled out, yeah. You might think it's a bit emasculating, but no one really gives a fuck. Like, but just the reaction of it, like, is everyone just standing there, people up at the pub, just fucking schooners in hand, laughing. I think it's just a part of the experience.
Well, it's part of the experience, but it's hilarious because the whole thing, the assumption when anyone ever gets bogged is that they don't know how to drive. Like, that's why it's funny.
Oh, Man, it was funny. Anyway,
They get him out?
they did get him out, and I actually saw him. He was parked in front of us when we were getting back on the barge to go, and I was saying, that's the guy that got emasculated at Orchid Beach Hotel.
Yeah, see, you know what?
No,
Mate.
he felt emasculated. I didn't say he was.
Did he say, everyone, I'm feeling emasculated? Or are you just putting, is your whole thing with masculinity, are you pushing this onto other people now? You know, maybe he didn't feel like that. I think that's the issue. You know what?
Anyway, I tell you what.
This is the whole issue. He's been emasculated.
Oh, now you're saying it.
Well, I'm just saying, going off the story that you're telling me.
He felt emasculated.
Because he got bogged on Fraser.
At Orchid Beach in front of the pub.
Now, what is that? What, honestly, like, what is that?
Oh, I don't know. I think
what
it's
is that? Is it's just a shame thing. You just don't want to be seen to be getting bogged. It's like the shame of it, isn't it?
No,
Like it is.
But this is the hardest part about Fraser Island, right? Is the Naggala Rocks. I hope I've pronounced that correctly, but anyone that's been there would know. Anyway, it's this big, fucking massive big rock that's got a big gorge out of it. It's literally just the width of your four-wheel drive, and you've got to like queue up and you drive through that, and there's like water and everything in there, and there's like a sharp sort of drop off, and you've just got to fucking pin it up this sand dune up around this wild little track to get back down on this other beach because you can't drive around the beach because of all this rock formation. And it's fucking hairy, right? So 1 in every 5 cars gets bogged there. They just get fucked. Like there was a guy in a Ford Everest. Fuck, mate. He had his air pressure all the way down like 6 PSI and they still couldn't get him out. Like it was just, so they had to get like a 200 series cruiser up there, skull drag him back out. It's just this wild situation. Anyway, so I drove up there first. So it was Lance and I and Kendall's Matt's cousin. Anyway, holy fuck, I was packing it because it's like everyone's lined up. So you like line up for like an hour and a half just to get through this passage because there's so many people and people are always getting bogged. So it just takes so long. And I was up. I was like, right, fuck, here we go. It's like I was packing it. And Kendall's going, you're fucking nervous, aren't you? I was like, fucking nervous. And there's people all standing up on the rock faces and everything. It's just one car. You got to.
What were you driving?
We had a troop, like a troop carrier, Land Cruiser troop carrier. It was a fucking great car. Done 470,000 Ks and like
It's only just broken in.
Everything's immaculate in it. Anyway, so I'm there and I'm going, this is the same thing. You don't know, right? So I'm asking, like, low range, what gear, fucking all high, like high 4, what gear, what do I do?
What were you?
Mate, everyone's got differing opinions, right? Everyone's saying,
Were you out the window?
Yeah, I'm like, what do I fucking stick it in? They're like, mate, fucking stick it in, fucking low, fucking whatever. And I'm like, Jesus, okay. So I went for what they said, which was low range, get it into second gear and just pin it. And just don't let off the throttle, right? Just keep it going. Anyway, I got halfway up the fucking hill. I could feel it going. I was like, oh no, my nuts dropped. I was like, oh fuck, I've bogged this.
Booted into first?
Try to, and then you lose all your momentum because you're going up the hill and brr. And I was like, oh fuck. So anyway.
Halfway up the hill, you stopped.
Halfway up the hill and everyone's yahooing and fucking whatever. And I was like, oh shit.
You probably should have gone high to or what?
Just wait, mate. Fucking stop jumping in.
No, I'm giving you man advice.
So anyway, so I've stuck it into reverse. Thank fuck. It got momentum going back down the hill, right? So I didn't get bogged. I just stopped, right? Very different thing.
Don't hit the brakes.
Anyway, so I got right back down the bottom. And I just said to Ken, I was like, right, I'm going to put in this high 4, first gear. I'm just going to fucking pin it. Anyway, off she went. Got to the other side. Everything was just smouldering. Like clutch, engine, everything was so hot. But got through there. But the adrenaline, I was like fucking jacked. It was wild. It was fucking so wild. Anyway, I'm glad I got through there because there's been a fair few people that haven't made it through Naggala Rocks, but I'm glad I've conquered it. So I became a man there, which I'm pretty happy about. I also caught some Taylor Swifts. Do you know what a Taylor Swift is?
Well, are you talking about like just Taylor?
Yeah, but it's what men say over there.
They caught a few Swifties. Do they?
It's Fraser man talk.
DK? Do you? No? He's like, what are you looking at me for? He's like, I haven't conquered Naggala Rocks. How would I know?
Anyway, I did catch 4. I caught 4 Taylors.
With what bait?
Pillies. On a gang hook.
It's a pilly.
Little bait fish.
Oh, pilchard.
Yeah.
Pillies, mate. Just a couple pillies. Just on a couple gang hooks. You just thread them up together. You got
to get the last hook through the eye, so it swim straight.
Yeah, you want a straight swimming pilly? Yeah.
Shut up.
Fish don't like
What
it.
is going on here? He's giving up me about being emasculated. Now he's emasculating me on my own podcast.
Mate, you know what? Who was that? Was there an old salty sea dog just like handing out like man certificates on the other end of the
No, but there was
passage?
there was one bloke there that we had a good bit of a yarn to, because the amount of people that are over there, like literally just for the tailor, because it's like this is the breeding season, so they're on.
Oh, the Taylor are on, are they? Running.
The Swifties.
Running hot.
Swimming hot. Warm. Fuck.
Yeah, righto. They good eating?
Delicious. Delicious.
Yeah, well,
Delicious.
Did you prepare them?
Yeah. Oh, so I cooked them 2 different ways.
Did you
No,
gut-
3 ways. Actually, Matt and Mia made a Luxor, Taylor Luxor.
3 ways.
The other way was
But you were going to say you put one in the oven, one on the barbecue, and one on the grill plate.
So skin on the hot plate with herb and garlic butter. Change your fucking life. And the third one was this salt and vinegar chip crumb.
Name
Beautiful.
me something that herb and garlic butter doesn't go with. One thing. I dare ya. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I became a man, and I will be back to Fraser Island. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, righto. Well,
Oh, also, trademark shirts. Saw about 5 of them over there.
oh,
which
did
was
you?
great.
Did you go up and say anything?
No, I was on holidays. Just waved.
Yay. Hey, guys. Yeah. You see that big troopy going up through the passage?
That was me.
You're one of the founders. I've got a conversation we can start. You guys know anything about masculinity?
Dislodge this rock from my sock, DK.
Have you got a
I
rock?
had a rock that got way down deep in my sock.
You go first, Derek.
I got a fucking rock in my sock. fucking. What the fuck is with midweek public holidays?
Oh, yeah.
The,
Why do they do that?
Wednesday Eka holiday can get fucked. There, I said it. It just throws everything out. I love a public holiday, but they only belong in one place. It's either on a Monday or a Friday.
It makes not a great deal of sense.
Don't go putting a public holiday on the Wednesday for the stupid Eka. I'm obviously a proud New South Welshman. There's only one show, and it's the Sydney Royal
You've never
Easter
been to
show.
the Eka, have you?
Well, I was there for the start of it this year.
Does
when I
anyone
went to-
go on the Wednesday anymore? Because everyone just...
Probably, but Wednesday public holiday, it just throws the entire week out. And another thing, it's called the exhibition. How do you get EKKA out of exhibition? The Eka. Well, anyway, if you're trying to abbreviate exhibition, wouldn't you call it the Exy? Like, who are the
I'm pretty sure they're banned in all states and territories.
Exys? Got any Exys? Wouldn't you? Yeah. I don't know who is naming this shit or deciding this stuff. Probably Joe Bielke-Peterson. But anyway, he's the only famous Queenslander I know. But anyway, that's my rock. Eka
Lord
public
have
holidays.
mercy.
Because it fucks it up for, like, if you're outside of Brisbane, like if you're in Caboolture or like even Ipswich, like
Play on.
they don't have the, Toowoomba.
Do
Like
they have the Ipswich. Yeah, they have Ipswich public holidays.
on the
But-
Wednesday. They don't have the Ipswich
No,
show.
I think Toowoomba's is Friday.
If you're
Don't worry, I worked it.
If you're doing business, if you're doing business, it fucks everything up. Anyway, Wednesday public holiday. I'm just like, spare me the details. You know,
I had a rock.
Yeah, that'll do me.
you get a rock.
Well, I did. I'm pretty keen to keep it flowing, though. I want to talk a bit about your golf day.
Oh, mate. So no rock. That's really throwing me. I was hoping to hear you have a whinge about something, mate. Yeah. So on Saturday, well, then I've got to tell the story, my side of the story, because we had, it was a huge weekend, man. And last week was a really big week. Like, it was a bit of
Massive.
an emotionally draining week, to be honest, because like, I was really rocked, as were you and a lot of people around the Paul Green suicide. So that was kind of a bit of a, I don't know, I suppose a bit of a dampener. That was a huge dampener last week. But I had to go to Hip Pocket, the Hip Pocket Workwear Conference on Friday night up at Twin Waters, and do a speech, like a keynote sort of whatever speech at the dinner. And I was so fucking nervous, like, because, and like I mean, give me a microphone. I don't mind going on stage. I quite enjoy it, actually. But yeah, I felt I felt real pressure to, I don't know, just because of what had happened. I felt it was just really hard. I was just feeling really uneasy about it. So it's draining. It drains a lot of energy out of you when you got to go and do that stuff. So we went up Twin Waters, did it, nailed it, had a really good, I wrote notes as well. I was telling you, I wrote notes because...
The last time we wrote notes was the first time we ever did it, and I got fucking peppered, so I've never written another note again.
You did, no? I just wrote notes because I just wanted to, make sure that just a couple notes, like bullet points, that was all, just so that I made sure that it flowed right, because I wanted to be able to, impart some good thoughts or whatever. But, mate, just so draining. It got back to Brisbane, because I had to go to Cecil Plains the next day for the Port and Wood Golf Day. Got back to Brisbane at about 1:30 on Saturday morning, sort of.
Massive day.
By the time I got into bed, it's about 2 o'clock. You can probably get to sleep about 2:30, I'd say. So tired. Up at 5 a.m, so I probably had about 2.5 hours sleep. Up at 5 to go and get ready for the Port and Wood Golf Day. To be honest, so Jason Port, he'll be listening to this, I know, because he fucking, he gets his headphones in while he's fucking churning out the bloody carpentry. And he loves it. So last year's Port and Wood Golf Day was
the first
epic.
one.
First one ever. Yep, Mullet Plumbing, Josh Lewis and the Lewis family were the inaugural winners.
Why didn't I had to...
You were there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think. Oh, that's right. We had a dinner that night I had to drive back into town for. Yeah, that's why I wasn't on the piss.
So Did you?
Matt Lindsay was in town.
Back to Toowoomba.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when me and Banksy were driving out there to Cecil Plains, so Cecil Plains is it's actually 2 hours away. In my head, I was like, it's only just outside of Toowoomba. But anyway, it's not.
Yeah, it's like an hour out of
It's a fair bit
Toowoomba.
further, yeah. So I drove out there, not much sleep, with Banksy from TX, and it was raining the whole way. And I was like, oh, shit, we're going to get out here and it's not going to be on. And I know Jason was, stressing as well because so much effort goes into organising this golf day. It's a fundraiser for TX and all that kind of stuff. But we got out there and it was looking miserable, mate. It was looking real miserable. No sign of Jace, though. He wasn't around. No, he wasn't around because his brother took the microphone at the start of the day. Much funnier brother. I'm assuming it was his older brother, to be honest. Actually, I never found out. But
Is
I said,
it Tom?
I'm not sure. I can't
Pretty
remember.
sure.
But hilarious bloke. Shane Webb. He's just, anyway.
Is he a blonde-haired fella?
No.
No.
I reckon he might have been thinning, if anything.
Yeah, that's him.
But anyway, Jason's brother did the whole intro. Yeah, we got out there. We were like, oh, look, we're probably not going to be able to play today or whatever. It's looking real wet. And they got Pam there, the golf club. Every golf club. Or every
the wheel
club,
of cheese from
it's just got the big cheese there who runs the show, gets all the scorecards out. You're not allowed fucking do
Was
anything.
Mullet Plumbing there?
He was there, yeah. He was the winner
won it
last year. Yeah,
yeah.
him and his old boy were there again. Pam, mate, the club, mate, she is just an absolute weapon. I'm fucking scared of her.
No hats in the clubhouse.
Oh,
isn't
my
it?
God.
Yeah, keep your fucking hat off.
Mate, or I'll have your head.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
she's serious about
Mate,
it.
she is dead set. So, anyway, Jason's brother did the whole intro. Fundraiser for TX, big day, good community vibe. To be honest, it's fucking great out there at Cecil Plains. I figured if we hadn't played golf, I reckon everyone would have just been happy just to hang around in the clubhouse and
Talk shit all day.
and do the raffles and do all that kind of stuff anyway. It's a huge occasion for Cecil Plains. But, we had Shane Webke out there. So Webke was out there because Jason Porter does he didn't updated an old woolshed on Webke's property.
Yeah, right.
And, as Jason said, he's got a love-hate relationship with Webke. Shane Webke loves Jason Porter's carpentry but hates his invoices. So
Doesn't pay him.
yeah, Webke was dry. We eventually got out. No, he pays him. He's just, mate, his work's really nice, so I'm sure he charges a fucking squillion bucks.
Where was Jace? Would you just not be there all day?
So his brother was doing the intro. Hilarious. He kept referring to Shane Webke from TV. My mate Shane Webke from TV is so funny. And then he goes, there's a special guest coming out. He read this poem. It was bird related. Next minute, this fucking person comes running out dressed as a kookaburra, a full kookaburra suit, flapping around the clubhouse. Jason takes his fucking hat off. Jason Porter dressed as a kookaburra. His mum had made him a whole kookaburra outfit, a whole. Well, because
that's the mascot,
of Porter and Wood.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, you should see the detail in this kookaburra outfit. It was fucking hilarious. At the end of Jason didn't even play. He didn't play golf all day. He was just out in the kookaburra suit, just going from hole to hole, flapping around, doing all sorts of shit. So it was so funny.
He's got
mate.
some commitment,
Yeah, mate, awesome golf day. Seriously, I reckon that Port and Wood Classic, no word of a lie,
Was it sold out again? Because it was sold out.
They had
last year.
114 registered to play and had 98 turn up, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. So on a day that was pissing down rain,
Good get.
mate, so good. But just like for country towns like that, like those community events are just like top shelf. You know what I mean?
Bang
like
on.
yeah, you can just tell. Like everyone just loves being there. Like the vibe's fucking great. There's heaps of trademark supporters. Like heaps of compliments around. Everything we're doing in mental health and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, mate, it was unbelievable. But, like, having Shane Webke there was, like, next level as well because, obviously, I'm touch into the Paul Green stuff because that was hectic last week. But he was running around doing the drinks all day and being an absolute legend. And
Blackfish?
Blackfish, a couple of blackfish, yeah. So, it was a good day out there. It was 7.5 hours it took us for 18 holes of golf, mate. 7.5 hours. I had like 2.5 hours sleep the night before. I was fucking
Did
wiped.
Jace drive you home?
No, I drove actually. I felt pretty good to drive.
Fuck.
Well, he had a couple beer. Well, Banksy only had one beer back at the clubhouse, I'm pretty sure. But no, I was good to drive. But yeah, I was just so wiped, mate. Like a golf day like that, mate. It's hectic. Had to get up and have a bit of a yarn, and I knew Webke was going to get up there and have a bit of a chat. So, mate, it was tough because Shane Webke was like one of Paul Green's best mates, and I mean, he hadn't spoken publicly about what had happened to Paul Green. He's like, in Webke's own words, he thought he understood mental health, like he thought he understood it. Now he knows nothing because he was just in a paddock drinking beers with Paul Green a couple of months ago at a mate's wedding at Webke's property out there. And he reckons that not a single thing that conversation, nothing. There wasn't a single thing that, Paul Green said or alluded to or talked about that would have given him any inkling at all of how
There was an issue.
of how dark he was getting. Yeah. He asked Webke got up there and spoke, and it was you could hear a fucking pin drop, mate. Hey, like when he got up there, and like I don't know, have you ever heard Shane Webke speak anywhere?
No, I don't think I have heard him
Sort of
speak.
publicly, I guess.
No, no, I haven't.
You obviously don't watch Channel 7 News then, because I think he does the sport on
He
Channel
does,
7.
yeah, I do the 9.
Yeah.
I'm a 9 man.
I'm a 9 man too. Yeah, it's a rugby
Love you,
league
Carl.
thing, isn't it? But yeah, he got up and he asked everyone to, turn their phones off, and they had a guy there filming the day, and Jason sent him outside. And yeah, mate, he just got up there and just like it was a very passionate plea to everyone in the room. He kind of had this penny drop moment, I think, Shane Webke, that was about, everyone says, ask, are you okay, and do all that stuff. But, like, is that doing anything? He's like, is that fucking doing anything? Because, like, he's like, we thought he was okay. Like, we've had events, we've been hanging out, we've had, all this kind of stuff. And it's almost like there weren't any signs there to even prompt a question of being like, hey, are you okay? Or is there, do you need help with anything? It's like, not even at that point. It's like his relationships, his mates, they were strong enough that there wasn't even a need to feel like they needed to check in or anything. And so Webke was kind of, no inkling, and kind of, I mean, we talk about this a lot because I talked about it at Hip Pocket on Friday night, and you're the only one who can act, eh? Like, you're the only one who can do it. Because, I've been racking my brain about this, and, this is what Webke was saying as well, and I'm sure this is not, a breach of sort of trust or confidence or anything like that at all, but, he was just up there pleading with the people in the crowd that, if you've got that in you, if you've got those dark thoughts in you, it's up to you to do something, because, the whole trying to look out for signs from other people is, it's not... I think because I've been trying to rack my brains about this, and I think there's a few types of people. I think there's a type of person who, if they're not doing okay and you ask them, they might tell you. There's another type of person who, if they're not doing well, you don't even have to ask them. You can just tell, their body language, you can tell that something's wrong in a big way. And then there's this third type of person who you would never fucking know. And that's the dangerous one, eh? That's the dangerous one, I reckon, that just seems fine on the surface, isn't given any signs, has a good network, but is a deep, deep inward thinker and is thinking on some really, really, really deep stuff that, you know, you wouldn't have a clue, and they just don't want to talk. Even if you ask them, they would never talk about it.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously what's happened here, because it doesn't make, well, it makes sense that we know it's happened, but it doesn't make sense in regards to how, someone of that nature, someone that, you know, you see videos of him a week before at the Sharks reunion, fucking down in Cronulla, like being interviewed and stuff, and not, you know what I mean? Like, you can normally see when someone's feeling a bit down, you know what I mean? Like, there's something going on.
If they're that kind of person.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But that's what, I think that's probably, the realization that you've had and we've had is that it's people, the way that people act is all so different. And we've probably been cookie cuttering it a bit to be like, well, these are the signs and look out for that. Whereas it's like, but doesn't mean anyone's fucking showing them. You know what I mean? Because like there's, and like that, it's that book that I finished reading recently. Like it's called Surrounded by Idiots that won a board in Cairns, remember, at the airport. And it's all around like the 4 different personality types and how like when people are communicating and whatnot, there's obviously so much that's happening in body language and stuff that you pick up on, but there's still people that show none. So it's like, you're not fucking I can't tell anything from the way you're communicating to me that there's anything wrong. And B, even the way your posture, the way you're acting, your body language is nothing is wrong as well. So that 100%, that is the fucking scariest thing.
Oh mate, it's so tragic. And like, I won't, you know, I ended up in a conversation with Shane Webke and with Banksy as well for, I mean, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how long, maybe 45 minutes there in the clubhouse, because I spoke about TX and, you know, the real positive, you know, the awesome, the positive, you know, elements of such an epic, you know, community-focused day like the Porter and Wood Golf Classic. But then obviously there's the elephant in the room type scenario that everyone was kind of dealing with this. So I'd been up there and spoken, and I had been, you know, bumping into Shane all day when he's run the drinks carts out. But it wasn't probably till the end of the day that I'd spoke about tax and all that kind of stuff. And then he got up and spoke afterwards, and then that kind of, I suppose, probably changed the dynamic a little bit in the room. Yeah. And just, ended up in this conversation with Shane. And I mean, he was, you know, quite, I would say, a fairly high. He was good at articulating his words. He was good at talking about what he was thinking.
Yeah.
And he had a good way of articulating it. Like, he had a good way with his words. He, you know, you can see, and like, he's been through a lot, mate. Like, he lost his dad when he was 19. I think he
tragic.
And he said to us that was the most tragic thing the most traumatic thing that's ever happened in his life.
Yeah.
Losing his dad. And so he's obviously dealt with, you know, trauma and grief and stuff before. But I don't know. It was hard one, to be honest, for me, because, you know, and Banksy, because like, he was tired. We're both tired, right? We're tired. On that, you know, big event on Friday night, Banksy had been down in in Sydney last week as well, and he was on the end of some pretty heavy stories as well. And last week took a big toll on Banksy. Shout out Banksy. I know he listens. Man, you're doing a bloody bang up job, mate. Wouldn't want to be doing it with anyone else. But, you know, they have these weeks where you hear these stories and it's just tough, mate. And it's like, you got to be, you're the only one in those times, I guess, for us, who can realise that if you're drained or whatever, you're sort of going through what you're going through. Like yesterday, I took a day off. I took a day off yesterday because I was just a bit wiped.
Yeah.
You know, Banksy's taken Friday off just to have a bit of a recharge. But like, you know, you end up in these conversations sometimes with people who are experiencing like some pretty hard stuff. And I'd say at that point in time, Shane Webke was one of those. And he was, you know, probably defensive of the fact that he didn't feel like he needed to talk to a professional. He was like, I'll be fine. Like, I'm good at talking this stuff out, which is good. You know, anyone who's good at like openly talking stuff out is fucking
it's
huge.
Pretty much a psych session anyway.
A huge step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. That's what this stuff is. Like, that is what this stuff is. It's like getting your fucking thoughts out, no matter how dark they are, because everyone's had dark thoughts. Like, getting them out and verbalising them is like exercising the demon.
Yeah.
You know, that is the way you do it. And because even like the hearing the words come out of your mouth, like saying them, not just thinking them, like saying them.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the bit. So it was hard, man. Like honestly, really hard there talking to Shane and hearing the way, you know, he was talking about Greeny's kids and his family and all that kind of stuff. And for everyone in the room, you know, like it's a very real, I guess, reality of, I suppose, what we're trying to do here, isn't it? It's trying to, you know, start something or build upon something that, you know, ultimately prevents people from getting to that point. But, you know, you can't help everyone. And I think that's probably one of the things that, you know, I kind of think about a lot. Like, you can't help everyone. And you never, and the thing is, as well, is like, I hope this doesn't sound, you know, come out the wrong way, but I think, like, the sad reality of suicide will probably always be a thing.
Oh, 100%.
I just don't think there's a world that exists where you just eradicate that.
No,
you know?
it'll never disappear. It's just changing the way we communicate about it, and like we've been saying, like a fucking, you know,
people are talking about it, but they're not talking about it.
Like the vulnerability piece, right?
Yeah.
And what drove.
And that's why we sit here and we talk about going and seeing our psychologists and the stuff that we fucking talk about, and the fact that we cry, and the fact that we have blues and shit. That is why we talk about that stuff here, so that we can fucking normalise the fact that people go through this stuff, and blokes in particular. I was talking to Banksy all the way out there about this idea of identity. Like, what's your identity? You know what I mean? And so many people's identity is attached to, you know, what they do for a living, or their status somehow in society, or might be attached to money, or, you know, their sporting career. And like, when that stuff goes away, like, this is impermanent. All these things in life that we attach ourselves to are all impermanent. They don't last. Life, the only constant in life is change. You know what I mean? And the only thing that changes all the way through is, who am I as a person now? And that is the one fucking constant. And like, people need to understand that that's okay, and that is part of life. But you need to actively work on figuring out who you are at every step of the way, because we're always faced with these changes in life, like parenthood, professional, you know, our jobs, everything we do, our sporting careers, whatever it is.
Well, they're just little challenges that continue to arise, and it's how you're gonna tackle this one, and then once I've sorted it, how am I gonna tackle the next one? Because it's never fucking done, sorted, cruise along. That's just fairy tale.
But I feel like it's that point when that thing is taken away from you, and it might be, you know, it may or may not be the case with Greeny. I don't know. Like, obviously he had these, obviously he was coaching the Cowboys. He's moved from, you know, Townsville down to Brisbane. I've been reading that was a big thing for him, selling up the family home up there. And it's a big change for the family, you know, to relocate.
Yeah, totally.
You've got young kids, and you know, when you have big changes in your life like that, and you're also battling with your identity and, like, you know, what your purpose or your role in life is now, or how you can bring value to those around you or your community, and if that has always been through rugby league, but then suddenly your past two attempts to do that haven't ended well, yeah, like, that's traumatic. But people go through that stuff. Like, that's a fact of life. Like, every day people go through those challenges. Like, there's no world that exists where you don't have to face that. I guess that's what I'm saying. And it's like this idea of identity, and like how you identify yourself, and what it is that, you know, if you identify as, oh, I'm a footy player and that's it, or, you know, let's use that for an example, and then, you know, you get injured and that's gone, and you don't know who you are without that. That's why I say, like, I'm cautious of my identity not being attached to trademark.
Yeah.
And what we do here.
Same.
Not in a sense of, I don't love what I do and I don't want to make a great impact, but I suppose it's just preparing myself that one day we probably, you know, won't be in this business anymore. I don't know when that is, but with doing such a big thing like this, it can be very easy to become all consumed and engrossed by it.
You're Dan from Trademark.
Totally.
But that's the thing, right? So when you're out and people are introducing you, oh, that's Dan from Trademark.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's not Dan, you know, it's not Dan Allen. It's Dan from Trademark.
Trademark's just a thing that I do.
Yeah, I know.
And there'll be many things that we do and that I do in my life, and there'll be many phases that I go through, right? And that's just the one fucking certainty of life. Like, oh, mate, it's deep. And it's like I go into this personality stuff about, you know, even what I was talking about, there's like people who, like me, like, you know, like when I'm not in a good mood, you don't even have to ask. You can see it from fucking
a K away.
See my body language, right?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, you know, I don't hide other things, right? But like, and I don't know that, you know, I don't necessarily know what kind of person I am for sure. Like I'm constantly learning. Like that's part of, you know.
Well, I think it's a continual change and
for sure.
improvement.
But it's like there's a very scary sort of, I guess, type of person like that exists who says everything's fine, lives their life as though things are fine, and doesn't give a thing away, but on the inside they are just fucking burning.
It must be
fighting. And the thing is, they're fighting off these thoughts. They're constantly fighting off these demons and trying to convince themselves that they'll be okay and that this is just a phase or whatever, and they'll get through it. Constantly fighting off these thoughts, fighting and fighting until they can't fight anymore. And during that time, they'd be fighting these thoughts of, you can't, you know, you might think about suicide, but you can't do that because you got a family. You know what I mean? I've got my family to be. I've got so much to live for. But you can only fight for so long.
Yeah.
And this is the scary part, is that when you're fighting thoughts and when you're fighting something, how long can you do that for? And
without getting some support.
Without getting
no, that's it.
Either without getting some support or doing something that you can't undo.
No, well, that's it. Because if you don't get the support, you get to a point where you're like helpless and you're like, I can't keep doing this.
And so the only way I can rationalise it is that, or just like plead even, is it like, if you are feeling that way, or if you're having these just recurring thoughts over and over again, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, like on and on, you've got to do something about it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You have to. But you are the only one who can do anything.
Yeah.
Like no one else can help you or make you do that.
Yeah.
They just can't.
Totally.
And you have to just find it within you to reach out to someone, whether it's a mate, whether it's TX, whether it's whoever it is. Like it's the perfect reason of why TX exists, because if they are deep thoughts that you're fighting and you don't want anyone who cares about you to know about, well, you can chat to someone who you don't even know. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why TX is there. But you are the only one. And this is when you talked about ownership earlier at the start of the podcast, like, you have to own your shit. You have to own it. Like, and acknowledging that that's the way you feel it first is like part of that, you know? You can't do anything unless you take ownership. And it's like, yeah, I suppose it's frustrating because the whole thing about are you okay? Like the whole are you okay movement, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But it's part of the evolution of the conversation, because when Are You Okay came about, mental health there wasn't hardly even any awareness. No. So it was like the first step in an awareness thing. But then there's all these steps that have got to follow to the point where we kind of realise, oh shit, maybe asking, you know, people, are they okay? Yeah, that's part of it. But there's a whole lot of people who, you know, won't even engage in that conversation.
Well, people that are asking other people if they're all right, but they're not themselves.
Yeah.
It's like,
you are the only one who can do anything about it. And it's like, and you have to find it within yourself to do something.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I don't know.
No, mate, that's great. It's a tough topic. It's a hard one. I hope we've shown enough vulnerability in this podcast and others in the way we write and talk.
But it is literally what we're trying to do, right?
100%.
Like that's when I think about, like, people talk about, because this is the thing we've been talking about. People talk about talking about mental health. Yeah. They talk about talking about it. They're not talking about it. They're just talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's fucking infuriating.
And this is the thing. I'm not sure people know how to, or how to actually, what talking about it means.
It's just being open.
Talking about mental health doesn't mean that I go around saying, "Hey, people, you should talk about it." That's not it. That's a start. Asking people, but like you've got to show people. This is what I said at Hip Pocket Workwear as well. Is like you've got to show people how to do it.
I just had a call with a bloke who's a business owner before. He's got a lot of staff, you know, a few hundred through franchises and stuff like that. And he goes, we really want our staff to know where to go and get help. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? He's like, well, obviously with the stuff that's been happening and, you know, whatnot, like I just want to make sure that they know that where they can go and get some help. I was like, cool. I was like, I can fucking guarantee you they already know about fucking Lifeline, Beyond Blue, all this other bullshit. I was like, I fucking guarantee they know all about all of that. I'm not saying they're bullshit. I'm just saying that they know about it, right? Have you ever spoken to your staff about like how much you've struggled and how tough business is and fucking? He's like, oh no, I've never. I was like, that's the first bit. I was like, you need to go and do that because as soon as you do that, then the person who's fucking mopping the floor or stacking the shelves or driving the truck goes, holy fuck, the boss, he's going through this or she's going through this. Now I'm actually going through that as well. Holy fuck, like they've been vulnerable. I can feel vulnerable now. You know what I mean? That's the only way I can change. This fucking fly the flag, we're all in it together bullshit. It's driving me fucking mad. Anyway.
The only thing we can do is like keep kind of showing vulnerability ourselves, I guess, and like talking about, because like, again, I keep referring back to the hip pocket thing on Friday night, but like I said to the audience that one of the biggest things that's always been a hang up for me and you has been that we're not mental health professionals. Like we never, like it's almost like it's probably like the imposter syndrome, I guess, kind of thing that can creep in for anyone. Totally. Where it's like, oh shit, like don't fucking look it up. Like don't do what we say. Or like don't, we're not anyone. Like we're not, but we are on our own mental health journey, right? Like this, doing the work that we've done has opened up this world a lot more to us. And I think we've been very welcoming to learning everything we can along the way. For ourselves, for our team, on our own journeys with psychs and this kind of stuff. And that's the key, is like talking about that. It's like, I suppose, like the Tuesday morning meeting we had with our team this morning, like, I'm sure everyone understood what I was saying, I hope. Yeah. About actually, how fucking hard this shit is, and like how hard it is to go and get up on a stage and talk about mental health, and like how hard it is to stand in front of people and, for 45 minutes and listen to Shane Webke unpack how one of his best mates has just taken his life. You know what I mean? Like that ain't easy. That shit ain't easy, right? And there's times where, like I spoke to you on Friday morning, I was like, I don't think I can do this tonight. Like I wanted to pull out. Yeah. It's like I don't feel like I'm in the right frame of mind to be able to stand in front of people and talk about that kind of stuff. And I spoke to Julian as well from Mazda, and I was like, mate, he called me about something. I was like, yeah, I got to do this thing tonight. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I think I'm going to pull out. Like, I was like seriously at that point, and he was like, oh mate, I know you feel like that, but you got to do it. And I was like, yeah, I know I got to do it, because we got a responsibility. You know what I mean? To continually kind of lead by example, and to also, you might help one person in that room that night who wants to reach out to TX or whatever and make a huge difference, because there's always people struggling, but fuck me, it's hard. And I think being open, like you're talking about, being open. Sorry, I'm probably going on now, but anyway, fucking vulnerability is the key. We can only take ownership over our own actions, and this is becoming more and more obvious in this mental health space. Like, stop fucking worrying about everyone else. Yes, worry about people for sure, but fuck, it starts with you. If you can't truly take ownership of what you're going through and take positive steps to action that, well, you cannot expect anyone else to do the same.
Lead by
example. Stop asking them to.
Totally. Well, we'll leave it there. If anyone wants to reach out and speak to a mental health professional, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m, free of charge, reach out to TX 04888 469 88.
Can we just not leave it there real quick? I just really want to dive into the last thing we were going to talk about, because I fucking want to know where you were going to go with it. Gimpy Muster, who's sleeping with who?
Oh, fuck. I'll be bringing my own swag, thanks. See you all there next week, and have a very funky shirt Friday. Love you.
Love you and leave you. If I stop, I'll die.